All right, Chad Daniels joins us. Before we start, I got to tell you a really funny story that just happened a few hours ago. That kind of concerns you. So I work with this guy, Josh, and I was like, "Hey, I'm talking to Chad Daniels today," and he looks at me, he goes, "No way," and I said, "Yeah," and I'm thinking, "Oh, he must be a big fan." He goes, "That's impossible." I said, "Why?" He goes, "He's dead." I said, "What?" What the hell are you talking about? I just booked this last week. He was, dude, he's been dead for a long time. I said, no, what are you talking about? He's like, the devil went down to Georgia guy, right?
Yeah.
I was like, oh, man, this is not happening right now.
It's interesting. When on XM and Sirius, when my tracks come up on their comedy stations, it's a picture of Charlie Daniels.
No, it's not. Oh, that may be.
Yeah. So yeah. So I grew a beard, and then all of a sudden I look like I really let myself go to hell.
And you got a vest on and a cowboy hat. Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly right, man. Somebody sent me a picture, and I go, I don't know if they're just guessing what I'm going to look like in the future, but that's not me.
Well, I'm glad that wasn't the only time that's happened. That's obviously a fairly common mistake, I guess.
Yeah, and I'm glad I'm not dead.
Yeah,
that works out
too.
great.
I am very happy you're not dead. I watched Empty Nester a couple days ago. A fantastic special.
Thank you.
We have a lot in common. I can really connect with what you're talking about. But the way you open the show, and a spoiler alert for anyone, but it's at the very beginning. But you talk about when you say you're from a town and somebody responds to you and what they think that accent would sound like. And I got that. I'm from Massachusetts. I grew up around Boston.
Right.
So obviously it's, can you guess what they usually say back to me?
I'm going to guess it's something like park the car and Harvard Yard.
Oh my God. You nailed it. Even my grandmother says the fucker part. But
yeah, I'm sure she does.
But you are from Minnesota.
Yeah, born and raised. About an hour from Fargo, North Dakota. Yeah.
Okay. See, that's one of the only things I know about the state of Minnesota is the movie Fargo and mid-'80s punk and Prince and whatever Garrison Keillor has told me about Minnesota and the Lutherans.
Yeah, that's right.
What is one thing you want people to know about Minnesota that may be like a big misconception?
Big misconception this year is that the Vikings are going to suck. They're actually going to be good because Kirk Cousins is gone and he's a toilet bowl quarterback. So I'm very excited.
Oh my God. Well, good luck with that. I mean, as you know, the Patriots are starting with their new coach here, so it's a brand new adventure. And
well, their old coach, he's busy dating a 20-year-old, isn't he? So he's got stuff to do, man.
I think he's earned it, Chad.
I think so too. I worry about him because I've seen pictures of him. It looks like he's going to pull a muscle doing a TikTok dance.
No, he's one of those guys. Like I believe he's like Keith Richards and Ozzy. Like he'll never die. I
love it.
You could send him to some kind of nuclear bomb experiment and he'll walk out unscathed.
with his sleeveless hoodies.
Yeah,
dude, I love that guy. He was so good on the Tom Brady roast. I thought he was fantastic and such a good sport.
Yeah, that's the most animated I've ever seen him and the most I've ever seen him smile, and it was actually frightening. We're so used to a different guy that never smiled, permanently scowling, and said maybe 8 to 10 words at a press conference.
Yeah, that's like when you hear your great grandpa say, "I love you," you go, "Uh-oh, what's going on here?"
Right. Oh, man. Well, the special is great. And
thank you.
Like I said in the beginning, it seems like we have a lot in common, and I want to be your roommate. No, it seems like we have a lot in common. And I am a father. And now, is your daughter 20?
She is, yeah. She's going to be a junior in college.
Okay. My daughter just turned 20, and she still doesn't have her driver's license. And I'm starting to consider it a problem. Was your daughter slow to get her license?
Yeah, my daughter actually failed her driver's test because she passed everything And then on the way back to the center, she ran a red light.
Oh my God.
So they failed her.
Oh my God.
I know. She's sitting in her head daydreaming about, I got my license. What am I going to do today? I'm going to go pick up my friends, and then runs a red light and has to wait a full year to get it because it was during COVID. And so everything was backed up. Oh, it was awesome.
Oh my God. And so you were in the back seat while that happened?
Yeah. And then I had to bring her to a town about 2 hours away to take her test a year later. And we're driving. She's kind of working on parallel parking. And then she ran a stop sign just when I was in there. And I was like, this is not going to go great, man. You got to dial it in. She started bawling. And I was like, oh, you got to stop crying or you're not going to be able to see the stoplights. You really need to focus.
Oh my God. The problem with my daughter, she drives just fine. Both my wife and myself taught her to drive. And it was during COVID. So we had plenty of time. And so I took her to cemeteries to learn how to drive. That's probably the safest place to do that. And but there's intersections and stuff, and you can parallel park. So we really, and she knows how to drive just fine. We ask her to move the car and everything, and she just doesn't have the urgency, because to me it was like, that's freedom, but I have no.
Oh, absolutely.
I don't know what it is. She won't even go to make, and I'm not going to do it for her. I'm sorry. Yeah. Maybe
it's that she learned to drive around a bunch of dead people and she's scared.
I never thought of that, Chad. I never took that into consideration.
I don't know.
Now I feel really bad.
That would be great if she's like, every time I drive, it's between so many dead people.
Oh my God.
Who knows?
So I want to ask you, at the end of your special, you signed The Wall. And what theater were you in?
I was in a place called the Fitzgerald Theater. So you brought up Garrison Keillor.
Oh, that's the Fitzgerald Theater. Oh.
Yeah, they actually did Prairie Home Companion in that theater. And when they did the movie for it, they shot it in that theater. And it's owned by the people that run First Avenue, which is Prince's music place that he used to have. And so it was a whole bunch of Minnesota stuff going on at once. I have a purple background for Prince, and it's in St. Paul, the capital of the state I've lived in my whole life. So it was a fantastic night. I mean, recorded it on my birthday and recorded 2 shows. And both times somebody yelled out at the end, happy birthday, and the whole crowd goes into the song. I mean, I don't know if I could have had a better night, honestly.
That's fantastic. I didn't even realize the purple part. Now that you mentioned that, that's awesome. I know you touch on politics a little bit in the special. And again, that's something we have in common where I feel like there's loudmouths on the left, there's loudmouths on the right, and there's everybody in between just trying to get by and play by the rules and pay their bills and stuff.
Yeah, it's like, why don't you guys just step in a little so we can give you a hug and whatever you're dealing with might go away? Because it is wild.
Yeah.
If everybody minds their own business, right?
Yeah.
You got to follow the rules, but everybody minds their own business. Because you do. I mean, if you go too far on either side, you're going to find trouble. You go too far to the right, you get people going like, well, how come black people can dye their hair blonde if white people can't paint their face? And you're like, okay, never mind. I'm going over here. Right. And then you go all the way to the left, and you got people going, has anyone even asked the grass if it's okay to mow it? And it's like, what is happening right now?
Right.
Come with us. Come with us. We're in the middle where we like to, be normal and friendly.
Right. Where we're not fighting. Just don't stop.
Yeah. Exactly.
Because that's what they want us to do. Yeah. Well, do you have any opinions on your governor being selected as the vice presidential candidate?
I think it's pretty cool, man. I mean, the only opinion I have is it's a bummer that he's not going to be governor anymore because he has done a great job. A lot of people will tell you, like, oh, there were buildings on fire after the George Floyd thing. And it's like, yeah, I mean, there was a lot of anger in that city. But as far as being a resident of Minnesota, he's built up a surplus. He's done a bunch of great stuff. So it's a bummer he's leaving, but who knows what's going to happen in the election. I wish everybody the best of luck.
And then you do spend a little bit of time, I guess you could say, ranking on the Catholic Church. And I'm not you do. And I'm not a religious person. And again, we have some stuff in common there. But I'll just put it in this perspective. One time I was on the air at another radio station and something happened. It was during the crisis in Boston with the Catholic Church and the priest abuse scandals and stuff. It happened everywhere. So we were giving it to the Vatican, and this woman called up and said, "You know what? You spent 15 minutes beating up on the Vatican. I did not hear you once say anything about blacks or Jews." And I was like, "Oh, well, duly noted, ma'am. Duly noted. I'll write that down. So next time we'll include them, in our beatings because yeah." So I was wondering, has anybody approached you about that? It's like, why didn't you rank on the Buddhists and the Jews and other religions?
No, they didn't ask me to do that. They just one lady called the St. Paul Archdiocese and put a formal complaint in that I am an enemy of the church. And so I thought that was awesome. And I ended up getting a jacket that says enemy of the church on the back, and the U in church is an upside down Pope hat.
Oh my God. That's amazing.
I mean, I'm not an enemy of the church. It's like they messed up.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And it just drives me crazy when people go, yeah, but they do good things too. It's like, I understand that, but none of them outweigh kid touching. So let's get away from that.
Yeah, and you really give I won't spoil it, but a great metaphor and a story in your special that people should pay attention to,
Thank you.
which I thought was very, very clever. I'm surprised when she called the Archdiocese, they didn't say, "Oh, I thought he was dead. I thought he died a long time ago. Isn't he the Devil Went Down to Georgia guy? We actually liked him."
Yeah, he already is. He's letting us know where the devil is at all times, so he's on our good list.
Right. He beat him with a fiddle. That's fantastic. So you're on tour now. You're mostly out west. Is there any time that you'll be coming back to the Boston area or Massachusetts or New England anytime soon?
Absolutely, yeah. I just did the Wilbur not too long ago, and so I'll be back there next year. I mean, I'm not just saying this because I'm on the station, but Boston is one of the best comedy cities in the country. So I come back every year, and the Wilbur, man, it is so beautiful, and it's almost like it's built so they're on top of you.
Yeah.
And the laughter just crashes down on you. And so that was the first time I had done it, and I absolutely loved it. I mean, maybe I'll save that spot to do my next special because it was so fantastic.
Jim Gaffigan seems to really love it there because he likes to record his specials there, and he usually does like a dozen shows or something like that.
Holy crap. Yeah, I can see why. I mean, it was really cool because in a club, you have low ceilings and the laughter hits you, but it never comes over the top of you and hits you. It was a really different sound of laughter. I had so much fun.
Chad, I appreciate your time, man. And Empty Nesters on Netflix. I suggest everybody watch it. It's hilarious. And I always ask my guests, regardless of who they are, this question. And I want you to be as honest as you possibly can with this question. I'd really appreciate it. Okay. Where do you stand on dipping your pizza in ranch dressing?
It depends what kind of pizza it is. I will say this. Barbecue chicken from California Pizza Kitchen or pepperoni, pineapple, jalapeno, I will put a tiny bit of ranch on it. Otherwise, it is forbidden.
Oh, very specific. Very specific.
Yeah, I have very specific rules in my life, man. I've learned after my divorce, I've learned to create boundaries, and that's one of them.
Oh, really? There was a ranch dressing conflict? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to pry.
No, it's okay. I just spent 2 weeks in therapy over this dipping pizza in ranch dressing, and that's what I came up with.
All right, Chad Daniels, thank you so much. Again, watch Empty Nester on Netflix. I appreciate it, man. Good luck.
Dude, thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it.